Hello, everyone. Welcome to In Other News, the occasional extra bonus news show where I talk about stuff happening in the news through a lens different from what you may be getting from legacy media. These are intermittent shows that pop up when I have both the ability and availability. So make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Join us when you can, or join us for the more chill show that we do every weekday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's more chill, I promise. So today, I've been plotting and scheming this topic for a little while. The story keeps developing, but it seems like we're on the verge of a taco situation, and so it's sort of a now or never kind of thing before it vanishes into the zone flooded by all the other nonsense the current U.S. administration is up to. So, where are we at? We've been seeing threats, boasts, harassment of Greenland for quite some time. Let's go back a few days to Trump insisting that he has the claim, the right, the ability to just take Greenland if it isn't given to him or sold to him or something like that. Note, not the United States, to him on behalf of the United States, because to his thinking, there is little to no distinction between the United States and Trump's personal property, which says a lot about him. As we drew up on the conference going on in Switzerland right now, there was a lot of talk about how things were going to progress. It turns out those were all bluffs. As recently as last night, he was talking about military action, but it turns out he had already attempted military action. Let's start with this post from Rachel Hurley. 19 hours ago, as he had arrived at the World Economic Forum, she's reporting, Trump ordered the military to invade Greenland, and the generals told him to fuck off. So this isn't hypothetical. He actually gave the order already. The Joint Special Operations Command got the directive to draw up invasion plans for Greenland, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff said no, because it's illegal, because Denmark is a NATO ally, because you can't just invade our friends. The Daily Mail broke the story on January 11th. Yeah, January 11th. The rest of the world has already known about this. Here in the US, where we have state media, not so much, which is why we rely on our friends around the world to keep us informed of what our own government is doing. That's the state of things here in the United States. But I digress. On January 11th, according to the Daily Mail, the generals think Trump's Greenland plan is crazy and illegal, so they're trying to deflect him with other major military operations. They say it's like dealing with a 5-year-old, which is expressing quite a lot. They're trying to distract the president with other wars. How about we intercept the Russian ghost ships or hit Iran? Literally anything except invading Denmark. I never thought we would be in a timeline where I would actually end up saying anything other than invading Denmark. Like, it's not that there's some impenetrable super civilization, but like, why? In what universe does this make sense as a strategic plan? What the fuck are we doing? This came after 2 weeks of escalating threats. The White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, said on January 6th, to celebrate the anniversary, of course, that utilizing the U.S. military is always an option for Greenland. Stephen Miller went on CNN and refused to rule out force. He said, nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland. Denmark, the EU, and other European neighbors begged to differ. Rachel goes on to say, Denmark said, hold my beer. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen warned that a U.S. attack on Greenland would mean the end of NATO. And that's literally true, yes. If you have treaty organizations attacking each other, that's the end of your treaty, yes. Not diplomatic strain, the end. Quote, if the United States chooses to attack another NATO country militarily, then everything stops. And then 8 European countries deployed troops. Germany, France, Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands, the UK, which is not part of the EU, and Finland all sent forces for Operation Arctic Endurance. On January 19th, General Peter Boysen, Chief of Staff of the Royal Danish Army, arrived in Greenland with combat soldiers trained in Arctic warfare and announced he's ready to defend the territory. Trump's response? Tariffs. Of course it's tariffs. It's always fucking tariffs. On January 17th, he announced 10% tariffs on all 8 European allies, rising to 25% by June 1st, until, quote, a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. That is a quote. Put a pin in it. We'll need that later. He's threatening a trade war against NATO allies because they're defending themselves against us. So let's talk about why the military said no. The UN Charter prohibits the threat or use of force against any state's territorial integrity. The NATO treaty obligates us to defend Denmark. We have 21 bilateral defense agreements with Denmark since 1950. An order to invade Greenland violates international law, domestic law, and 7 decades of treaty obligations. The Uniform Code of Military Justice requires refusal of unlawful orders. Military members swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution, not obey the president unconstitutionally. It's very dry here, very winter. A Washington Post op-ed spelled this out. Confronted with an order from President Trump and Secretary Kegsbreath to seize Greenland from a treaty ally with whom we are at peace, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, must reasonably and in good conscience decline to transmit, and relevant 4-star combatant commanders refuse to execute that order because it is illegal. Here's what makes Venezuela different. And Rachel goes on to talk a little bit about Venezuela. It was billed as a law enforcement action, even though there were military units involved. It's not super important to this discussion. House Speaker Mike Johnson tried damage control. Quote, we're not at war with Greenland. I don't think anybody's seriously considering that. Anybody serious isn't seriously considering that anyway. Except the Joint Special Operations Command has the order. The Joint Chiefs are resisting. The European troops are deploying. Denmark confirmed that under a 1952 standing order, Danish troops must immediately take up the fight if attacked. The government said Danish soldiers would shoot back if Greenland is invaded. We're in a situation where U.S. military leadership has concluded a presidential order is illegal, and NATO allies are preparing to defend themselves against the United States. Trump said on January 9th, we're going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. I would like to make a deal, the easy way. But if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. Now, you may have noticed I'm wearing my ice cream dress because we're going to be having tacos soon, but let's not spoil our appetite. Let's go through the pieces one by one and see how things fall out, because it's delightful. It's delicious. It's delectable, you might say. So, our next thing. Rachel mentioned the Daily Mail. Indeed, The Daily Mail does have such an article, complete with references. So Donald Trump ordered his special forces commanders, and this is January 10th, by the way, to draw up a plan for the invasion of Greenland, but is being resisted by senior military figures, the Mail on Sunday has learned. Sources say the policy hawks around the US president, led by political advisor Stephen Miller, who's been so emboldened by the success of operations to capture Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro, that they want to move quickly to seize the island before Russia or China makes a move. Because that completely makes sense. Like, there has been no talk from Russia or China, but okay. Both diplomats believe that Trump is also motivated by a desire to distract American voters from the performance of the U.S. economy before the midterm elections later this year, after which he could lose control of Congress to the Democrats. Now, it's worth noting, Trump has also made noises about suspending elections this year. I can't imagine why. Flood the zone, fire hose of bullshit, distract us all from the collapsing economy. Because the tariffs are working so well, you know. Or don't you know, as they might say in Minnesota. Such a dramatic move would put him at odds with Sir Keir Starmer and would effectively lead to the collapse of NATO. According to the sources, the president has asked the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, to prepare the invasion plan, but it is being resisted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff on the grounds that it would be illegal and would not be supported by Congress. One source said, quote, they have tried to distract Trump by talking about less controversial measures, such as intercepting Russian ghost ships, a clandestine, words are hard, folks. English is a silly language. A clandestine network of hundreds of vessels operated by Moscow to evade Western sanctions, or launching a strike on Iran. Diplomats have wargamed what they describe as an escalatory scenario under which Trump uses force or political coercion to sever Greenland's links to Denmark. Now, it should be noted, from the other side of the equation, Denmark has reaffirmed over and over throughout this entire thing, Greenland is under Denmark's protection, but the people there have autonomy. They can choose to do whatever the hell they want. The fact that Trump is talking to Denmark and not to them shows that he's not going to get what he wants. But as all of history has shown, Trump is not one to be moved by the concept of autonomy. One diplomatic cable describes the worst-case scenario as leading to the destruction of NATO from the inside. Well, I don't know as I'd say that's the worst-case scenario. It would be unfortunate, but the worst-case scenario would be the deployment of nuclear weapons, where NATO effectively nukes each other, and then Russia and China just walk over the rest of the globe and go, these ashes are very pretty, the way they glow in the sunlight. Holy crap. It adds, some European officials suspect this is the real aim of the hardline Maga faction around Trump. Since Congress would not allow Trump to exit NATO, occupying Greenland could force the Europeans to abandon NATO. If Trump wants to end NATO, this might be the most convenient way to do it. Maybe that's the real goal. Maybe it is. Maybe not. Maybe it isn't. Maybe he just wants to look like a tough guy. And that appears to be the end of that article. But worry not, there's more to come. So, as you've probably seen elsewhere in the medias, in the interwebs, last night, Trump posted this map of North America, which I have to say is the stupidest map. Like, it's not one U.S. flag draped across the whole continent. It's several individual U.S. flags over different countries, and also Alaska is the same as different countries. This administration is nothing if not incompetent, but also fond of graphics that make no sense. I suppose we should be grateful he didn't just draw around Greenland with a Sharpie. Holy crap. In any case, this is this is last night, after the Joint Chiefs and JSOC said, we're not invading Greenland, that's very illegal. He's still pushing forward with this bluff that he will militarily take Greenland. With what military, I don't know, since ours already refused. Maybe he's going to borrow Canada's. Holy crap. So he's still pushing ahead. And as of this morning, these are screenshots I took as I logged into YouTube this morning. They're very tiny, so let me bigify here. From CNBC, Trump speaks at the World Economic Forum in Davos. From the New York Post, which is, super credible, but whatever. Trump goes all in on Greenland. It's our territory. He's already claiming it. It's ours. You need to get off our stolen land. The same way we did with most of this country. From Good Morning America, markets tank after Trump threatens tariffs over Greenland. Now, it's interesting that he went from, we're definitely doing military action, to, I'm going to propose tariffs. It's almost like he's trying to back out, because that's what he does. It's what he always does. Oh, but goodness. Okay. 14 hours ago, early hours this morning, the BBC reports Trump doubles down on Greenland ahead of Davos visit, saying there's no going back. He made a big old speech. We're definitely taking Greenland. No one will stop us. We'll use the military if we have to. It's our territory now, no matter what. No matter what, there is no going back. 2 hours ago, Trump backs off Greenland. He just gave it all this posturing for the better part of a month. It's taco time. My calendar says Wednesday, but it must be Tuesday because we're having fucking tacos. That's right. And let's get this straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. Truth Social, moments ago, Donald Trump's own account, based on a very productive meeting that I've had with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland, and in fact, the entire Arctic region. This solution, if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all the NATO nations. He's not invading. He's dropping the tariffs. Right here, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go into effect February 1st. He is backing the fuck off entirely, completely, which is good news for the world, but also pretty fucking hilarious. Now, we don't know what was said in the secret meeting, but it tickles my funny bone that Trump is once again falling back on, I have a concept of a plan, an idea about a hypothesis, about a possibility of a dream's inkling. Maybe. Fuck's sake. So yeah, he's chickening out over nothing. And again, absolutely a good thing that that's happening. Getting this blowhard to back the fuck off is very hard, but it's always good news when it happens. But it's still pretty fucking funny. Now, there is a little bit more, of course, as you may have noticed on the thumbnail. According to the Associated Press, Denmark and Greenland have been making hats. Make America go away. This is, oh, damn it, I can't make the picture bigger. That's rude. AP, fix your website. Now, the hat says, let me see if I can see what it says. If I can, it's probably in the text. It's fine. Because I don't actually speak Danish. I don't know if you know that, but I don't actually speak Danish. But the hats are amazing. Make America go away, and that is Greenland's flag. So this is from 2 days ago when I originally set up the show, not knowing when I would have the time to do it. We're making the time before the story goes away because it's just too fucking good. So Copenhagen, Associated Press, red baseball caps spoofing Donald Trump's iconic MAGA hats have become a symbol of Danish and Greenlandic defiance against the US president's threat to seize the frozen territory. We do love our ice cream up in here, folks, don't we? Ice cream people like me feel all at home in a freezer. It's true. Have you seen my skin tone? I am much better off in a freezer than in the tropics. Mm-hmm. The caps reading "Make America Go." I said that part already. Have gained popularity. The hats have gained popularity along with several variants on social media and public protests, including a weekend demonstration held in freezing weather in the Danish capital. European governments are rallying behind Denmark, citing the need to defend Arctic regions and warning that threats against Greenland undermine Western security, which is true. Greenland it has several strategic resources and also a strategic location, not just close to the pole, but kind of, between Europe and North America. And also there's people there. There are people living there, people who would like to continue living there, like the rest of the people in Trump's way, I suppose. But I digress. The protesters are somewhat less diplomatic. Quote, "I want to show my support to Greenland and also show that I don't like the President of the United States," said 76-year-old Copenhagen resident Lars Hermansen, who wore one of the red caps at a protest Saturday. The mock hats were created by Copenhagen vintage clothing store owner Jesper Rabe Tonesen. Early batches flopped last year until the Trump administration recently escalated its rhetoric over Greenland, and now they're popping up everywhere. And that leads us to the pièce de résistance, the sprinkles on our ice cream sundae following our taco meal here. And we are definitely making a meal out of this bullshit. Nu det nuuk. It's a Danish phrase. This is from Business Insider. A Greenland group is selling Make America Go Away hats for charity, and Americans are buying the most. That is my favorite part of this whole thing. These hats are just owning MAGA. They're triggering the fuck out of them. And the United States citizens, the Americans, are the biggest customers. Now, we'd expect them to sell in Denmark. We'd expect them to sell in Greenland for national solidarity. We'd expect them to sell in the rest of Europe, since Europe is being threatened by this asshole. But the fact that Americans, remember from that story we read earlier, only 8% of Americans are backing Trump on this, and 71% are strongly opposed. Americans are telling Trump, fuck off with these hats. And that's amazing. I love it. Apparently, so do most of the Americans. the ones, who can think for themselves anyway. I see a couple of you in the chat. Oh, yeah. So the online sellers are offering red hats printed with "Make America Go Away." The protest comes as President Trump threatens to take over Greenland, and the founder of a Greenland group raising money for charity said the U.S. is buying most of its hats. Several sellers are now offering red hats printed with the all-caps white letters that say "Make America Go Away," designed to parody the trademark headwear of the Make America Great Again political movement. The protest comes as President Donald Trump ramps up threats to seize the territory. And of course, this story goes on, and it is quite hilarious. It's endless. It's endless. But the important thing to note, not only are the hats fantastic, and apparently they're going to charity now, but Trump has, in fact, completely fucking chickened out. He has tacoed entirely. He went from, where'd I put that file? There is no going back. Threats of military force to within hours. We're not even doing tariffs. We're backing the fuck off completely. Amazing. Tacos. tacos for days, and also fabulous hats. And as you know, I am a great fan of fabulous hats. So yeah. All right, that's it for this time. Like I said, I just wanted to cover this before the story got buried in the avalanche of the usual bullshit. Trump threatening to invade the next thing that is extremely illegal for him to do. You know, at some point, some nation might take it upon themselves to decide he's a criminal with indictments against him, perhaps, and is a destabilizing influence. That he's a threat to the alliance, perhaps, and might pursue a law enforcement action or something. Just a suggestion. In any case, that is going to do it for this time. Thank you so much for coming. Do remember, these shows pop up periodically, but we have our regular morning show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, we're going back in time to the year the world actually did end. Find out more. Join us. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you all so much. And as always, remember, you don't have to try to suck Donald Trump's dick in a live stream live chat. The fuck is wrong with you? Because you are better than Maga. Toodles. Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for December. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Lilith, Ember Lynn, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Liliball Trades, Deviant Outcast, Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, The Mighty Filbert, Secular Feelinist, and Geo Sam. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember, or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark